This is the Square Circle of the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. All right, we're going to stop doing that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We're talking pro wrestling. I'm Justin Greenberg, and I am with Joe Ritter, Dominic
and the ghost
Arbolino.
of Dominic Arbolino.
Oh, yes. Oh, poor Dom. Hopefully his surgery goes well.
Yeah. He has aggressive... man, I don't have a word for that. You can't say what he's getting enhanced.
Yeah.
He'll be back next week after his rehabilitation period. And everything's grown to proper size again.
Yes. God bless that,
man. We're talking pro wrestling for some reason. Big store, of course. We started off with the Undertaker's music.
But why?
But why? I don't know. You want to say why, or should I say why?
Why don't you say why?
Okay, I'll say it. The Undertaker is confirmed. He's coming back to the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, July 7th.
Is that the date?
I believe it's the date.
Right.
I don't know if it's a Wednesday or a Thursday.
We got to go.
Yeah, we have to go.
And Rhonda's going to be there as well.
Rhonda's going to be there. She's been promoted. And maybe, potentially, Brock Lesnar again.
Now, I wonder who Undertaker's going to beat.
Well, they said that he's going to be having a dream match.
Wow.
So could that be John Cena?
I'm thinking AJ Styles.
The ghost of John Cena and Nikki Bella's fake, breakup? Like, what could it be?
I don't know. I'm intrigued. I don't know how much is left in the tank of Undertaker's career.
They were joking that
it for years.
They were joking that it's going to be Big Cass, by the way.
Yikes.
Big Cass is the joke that's been throwing around on Twitter. Everyone's just like, Big Cass has to be the dream match.
I think if anybody's going to get a good match out of Undertaker, it's two people. It's Daniel Bryan and it's AJ Styles.
I was going to say Daniel Bryan's got to be on there.
But I don't know what this is. Is this a Raw branded house show? But although we have seen, SmackDown performers appear at Raw house shows. In fact, the one that we went to, we had AJ and Shinsuke appearing at, but everything else was Raw.
Yeah, and what was it, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn
yes.
also, when they were on SmackDown.
So we don't know who's going to actually be at this event, but I'm sure we'll have more information on the weeks to come. But,
What about Seth Rollins?
I wouldn't mind that. Seth Rollins, to me, here's a guy that is putting on, a year of just excellence, and I'd like to see him get a title shot. The rumor is that he'll be facing Brock Lesnar actually at SummerSlam. I don't know if you've heard that rumor.
Yes, I have.
Which hopefully, if anybody takes the belt off of Brock, I would love it to be someone along the lines of a Seth Rollins instead of the Roman Reigns that they've been trying to push. But let's move to last week's. It's not. Let's move to last week's Raw, which I actually did see. If you really want to check out Raw and you don't want to spend all 3 hours watching it, I recommend going on Hulu the next day.
I was going to say YouTube also, they'll put all the highlights.
They have a nice condensed version. So if you don't want to watch all the awful commercials and just the, some of the bad segments, Hulu and, as Joe said, YouTube. So the first match was Finn Balor. He defeated Braun Strowman by disqualification when Kevin Owens interfered, attacking Finn. Braun ran Owens off, throwing a ladder at him as he ran away. And Elias repeatedly stopped and started a song until he was stopped by Seth Rollins. That happened as well? Repeatedly? What does that mean?
So he would just keep trying to sing, and then Seth Rollins would do something.
I don't remember that.
No one does. This Raw has become so forgettable.
Yeah, it really is.
It used to be that when Raw started, you knew for at least the first 30 minutes was going to be the most badass 30 minutes of television. The beginning of Raw was always the best part of Raw. And now it's like even the beginning is starting to be affected by just poor writing, It's just poor writing at this point.
It's very, they're very just fine in being average.
No,
and
right.
The fact is there is no competition. And it's been said for years and years, competition brings out the best in you. When you had a company like a WCW breathing down your necks, it made you take chances, and now they're just doing it's the same thing every week. It's the same 5 or 6 guys having matches. It's Owens versus Balor. It's Balor versus Braun. It's Braun versus Sami Zayn. It's Bobby Lashley. It's like the same 5 or 6 guys. You're never going to have just like a random matchup in the main event. Like, say, back in the day, you would have a guy like Val Venus just randomly showing up in a main event. Right. It's just, it's the same formula, and it's really getting, stale at this point. Hopefully it picks up, leading into SummerSlam, but, I have little faith.
We've been saying that for weeks on this show, that we hope it's going to pick up before Money in the Bank. We hope it's going to pick up for Backlash. We hope it's going to pick up after WrestleMania. And all these hope for. It's like, you have so much talent on these rosters. Guys who are former NXT champs, former tag team champs, former champs in any capacity. And it's like, what are they doing? Their promos, there's only one or two guys that are really good at promos.
I think Owens and Zayn on the Raw side, and Rollins is pretty good as well.
Yeah.
That's about it. And Miz on SmackDown is great.
Right. And then maybe whenever, Matt Hardy can cut a promo, which is basically any time he comes out in the ring.
I hope they do some more stuff with Matt Hardy, because I like where your head was going with the whole B team kind of being reincarnated.
Listen, I said it last week, and you all said it was.
I said nothing.
Not you. Dom and Jake both said I was stupid, and they laughed at me when I said that WWE is going to put the Woken Warriors against the new Latino World Order.
Oh, I don't know if that's going to happen.
They already started it on Tuesday. Sin Cara and Andrade Cien Almas were trying to talk, and Zelina Vega was like, you don't know this guy, blah, 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 and they pull the whole thing. Basically, what's going to happen is that I think Andrade is slowly going to turn every luchador into a heel.
I would love that.
And you're going to slowly see every luchador become heel, and then finally will culminate when Rey Mysterio comes back to WWE for a full-time contract, and he'll go, guys, you can't do this. This isn't our way. And then eventually it will kind of be like how AJ Styles joined the Good Brothers and beat the hell out of what's-his-name a couple years ago when he turned into a heel.
Cena?
Yes.
I'll say this.
It's going to be like one of those moments when Ray's going to be like, I'll help the good guy, and then just turn and just realize, you know what, I'll be with these guys.
The only problem is Ray is just a babyface for life.
He is.
He's never been a heel in the WWE, and he never will be a heel because he's so marketable towards kids.
Yep.
And he's kind of winding down his career, so I don't see that happening. But I wouldn't mind, a Latino group of people. They've done it before.
All I'm saying
the
is
LWO back in WCW.
Right, and they wanted. Ray is huge into wanting to do this again with the guys that are on the roster because, the big problem for these guys, these luchadors that are on the roster, like the Sin Caras, the Kalistos, the two Lucha Dragons, wherever they are.
That's Kalisto.
Yeah, Kalisto, right. And then Metalik, or is it Sin Cara?
Sin Cara was the other Lucha Dragon.
The problem with them is that you don't remember them because they can't talk on a mic.
Yeah.
These guys cannot cut a promo.
Mm-hmm.
But with a woman like Zelina Vega, who is just on fire with everything she says at this point, you don't need them to talk. They just stand in the background and just look, try to look macho.
Yeah.
Let her do the talking, and then you guys just do the in-ring performing, because those guys can perform in the ring. Kalisto's been putting on some of the best matches of the year. Kalisto
is one of the best in-ring performers in the company, but like you said, he can't cut a promo, but whatever. Rey Mysterio was never the best at cutting a promo, but, he had the connection with the fans, and I think, if given an opportunity, because you never see these guys on Raw or SmackDown for the most part.
No.
They're only on 205 Live, which I literally have seen 0 episodes
And I think Sin Cara is on SmackDown, maybe. So
I think he is.
So, no, he is. Yeah, he is, because he was talking to Andrade, which is, it's like you wouldn't even have known that if you didn't, watch or, watch like 4 years ago, whenever he just joined, the brand.
Uh-huh.
But, the thing with it is, it's just, as hard as it might be to, think of Rey Mysterio that way, anything can be done in theory, I
don't think it will be, but we don't know.
Maybe they're not
just speculating at this point.
Yeah, we're just speculating, but that's the big, what they think's going to happen, and they started doing it on SmackDown. They already tried to lay the seeds for it. And
they could also be setting up just a feud between the two of them.
It
Sin
could
Cara
be
versus Almas.
It could be, but I think, when you look at Survivor Series, they did they did New Day and the Shield.
Yes.
I think you could see something like that with Woken Warriors versus the Lucha guys.
That'd be fun.
And you'd think you'd see a pretty good match with that, the Lucha guys who are high flyers and crazy guys, and then you have the Woken Warriors that are just you just make them insane people.
The only problem with that is the brands. Raw has the Woken guys.
Well, that's what you do at Survivor Series. The one time a year when Raw and SmackDown compete in head-to-head competition.
I've heard that. All right, let's move on to continuing Raw because we got a bunch to talk about.
Yep.
Intercontinental Championship match. Jinder Mahal defeated Seth Rollins, but by disqualification, so you know what that means. The title does not switch hands with that. So Rollins ran off Mahal and tried to pose on the announce table, but he was knocked off from behind via guitar attack from Elias.
Every time Elias uses that guitar, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, Elias, he's great. He's kind of... it's tough with Elias because the fans love him so much. And even when he poo-poos on the fans, they still cheer for him. It's kind of like a Rock in 2003 or even like a Kurt Angle in 2004 or 5. I think, it's just money if you turn this guy babyface.
Yeah, and you know what the big thing is for me is that when you look at that with Elias, is that Elias has a potential to be a champion, the Intercontinental Champion, which should be the number 2 championship on Raw. Mm-hmm. The Universal should be, the number 1, the one that's the big one. So with that said, Elias basically is capped. Not because of his own doing, but because Brock Lesnar is still around.
Yes.
That guy, Brock Lesnar, is the reason that a guy like Elias cannot advance himself right now.
One, because he's a heel.
Right.
And 2, because, it's just, if Brock's going to lose to certain people, there's maybe 2-3 names in the company that he would lose to.
Right.
It would be a Roman, it would be a Braun. That's about it.
Or maybe a Seth Rollins at this point, or an AJ Styles.
I don't even think so. That's the problem. I don't know if Vince will pull the trigger with having Rollins beat a Lesnar. I would love it.
I think he has to.
But I don't think it's going to happen.
He has to at this point. Because if you go any longer with this championship on Brock, any longer than SummerSlam, you're going to lose a lot of people because honestly, there are a lot better feuds going on in a lot of other places. And I think WWE might start slipping down a bad slope because I've been watching a lot of New Japan actually recently. I've been watching the Chris Jericho versus Naito series that they've been hyping up really big. And let me tell you this, Chris Jericho, when you give him the creative freedom to just cut a promo against somebody,
top 10 of all time.
He is unstoppable. He cut a promo with a turtle. He found a turtle on the street and he cut a promo with it. It's like this guy is just incredible. So it's like I'd much rather watch that than be watching, Brock Lesnar come out, listen to Paul Heyman blast his mouth off, which Paul Heyman's great.
Oh,
but
he's one of the best.
You can only hear it so many times
it's the
before
same shtick over and over. Right. It's never something new.
Right. And he, at this point, you understand why Paul's doing it, because if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's like, what else can Paul really do for Brock? There's nothing else you can really say or even redeem. Brock is done, basically.
I would love to hear, because when Brock does cut promos, he's not that bad, especially when it's like a sit-down interview when they can have time to edit it. I wish we got some more of that even leading into Mania this year. We got nothing of that.
Yeah.
He might have said 1 or 2 words. Quickly, though.
And they were bleeped out.
Yeah, as most of his stuff is. Speaking of Elias, real quick, he was actually on an episode of Table for 3, which is a great show on the network, and he was on with Jeff Jarrett and the Road Dogg. It was awesome, and you just kind of saw, how down-to-earth Elias is. He seems like such a cool dude, and I think if you do turn him babyface, you just have him kind of cut promos on different performers, a la what The Rock did, with his guitar, and we've played the Vicky, we didn't play, but,
we wish we could.
We wish we could, but he kind of runs down Vicky Guerrero from a few years ago, The Rock did, and, Elias could be doing that. Imagine Elias cutting a promo, even on a guy like Kevin Owens.
How about this? Imagine this for 1 second. At WrestleMania, maybe like a year or 2 years, whenever this could happen, you get a Rock concert with Elias. How sick would that be?
Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
With Elias. Kind of passing the
ring,
torch.
Playing guitar with Elias, and the two of them just roasting wrestlers.
Would be great.
Just people, just roasting the city that they're in. That would be probably one of the best passing of the torches.
It would certainly be better with what they did with Elias at this year's Mania, which was just basically get squashed by John Cena. Which, again, I think it's the lack of long-term building. You had Elias attack John Cena at the 25th anniversary of Raw, which was the biggest Raw in probably, 5-10 years as far as, putting money into it, promoting it and whatnot. And you sort of are like, oh, Elias just took down John Cena in the middle of the Barclays Center on Monday Night Raw's 25th anniversary show. What did they do with that for his Mania run? Nothing. And it's just, it's upsetting.
It's really sad. And also, you have to remember this, that Raw 25th anniversary show, they kind of were using as like the go-home show for like Royal Rumble, even though it wasn't. That's basically what they were making it out to be. So it's like, whatever.
That whole placement of when that show took place